Yeah,
All right, part three.
and we're back
Thanks to Phil for coming back. Each time we pause, we have like a 10
for
minute break.
pictures, and I'm sure everyone was like, "Oh no, we're not going to hear it." So you want to finish out your what you're telling us about um pictures and why you like certain guys, stuff like that.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, I don't even look at what they've done. So if a guy gets rocked, yeah, if he has like 8 walks and he's allowed 3 homers, even, my numbers aren't going to like him either, But there's guys that have like bad starts and they've got like 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. So, in that case, I won't even look at it as a bad start, probably. So
So it's more like about whip,
it's just,
like
well, it's like FIP. Yeah, it's more like FIP, right? I mean, strikeouts, walks, and homers are all, you know, are all in, and the other stuff is just. Oh, okay. I thought it. I thought it left.
oh, sorry.
Before we go any further, I wanted to
Uh,
apologize to Jeff again because he was absolutely right, and I thought I can't even believe that I thought that I could do this in 35 minutes with you, and because I thought I was so organized, right? I wasn't going to go spend a bunch of time in the standings. I didn't even go to the rates and ranks thing or the raw tab. I thought I was being great. The other stuff, I didn't even. I copied it from Yahoo this afternoon, so I could just boom, 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 run through it, and it wasn't even close to being done. And here we are in part three, and I thought part two would be, that would have been like more than enough. Here it is, part three. So, but thanks to you for coming back, agreeing to come back, because it would have been bad to have a part three where I came back and like, well, Phil's gone.
um, I think with pictures, I think it's important to think about. I think everyone thinks about the opponent, but I don't think that everybody like rates it as much as like I think different team managers value the opponent more than others, like we all know, hey, you want to pitch against the White Sox, they're two, three, and four hitters are hurt and they
Why are
stunk to
they not
begin
good?
with.
Are you saying the Sox aren't good?
Right. Not so much. Um,
Without
but
Eloy and Luis Robert? God.
yeah, no, it's real rough. But and we know, like, of course, like it's nice to pitch in Oakland, bigger parks like that, or like in Seattle, and you want to avoid Denver. We all know these things. But I think looking to see when somebody's big, big bopper is out or something, like little things like that as tiebreakers on when you want to start a guy or not
Well, I think
make a
Kimmler
big
looks at that a
difference.
lot, right? I mean, I think he really studies that, and I'll say that that's an area where I just throw caution to the wind.
Hmm.
I don't look at that. I mean, I'm aware of it only basically in Colorado, or if somebody's facing the Yankees or in their home park. But I definitely put starters in, and I'm not confident that it's going to turn out well. So I probably shouldn't do that, but I do. I do. I do that. Sort of the opposite of Kimmler's approach, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard because baseball's messy and it's hard to pull it all apart. But I think in the long run, with enough starts, it makes a difference if you're pitching against worse opponents, in more pitcher friendly parks. You'll come out ahead more often like that way. It makes a big difference. I don't know. I'll take the 50th best pitcher against the White Sox right now over, I don't know, whoever the fifth best pitcher is, or the number one pitcher against the Dodgers. So I think
But
those
he's
those
on the
little things, because
Dodgers.
well, yeah, but I don't know. I think those are the things. I don't know. I mean, I've had a good run. I think I just had a good run at getting some players and having some guys, some good keepers and some good cheap guys, and I went away. I stopped doing those $100 players. I'm trying to avoid doing that anymore. Those weren't good days for me. Well, I try
Like
to keep the guys
who did you
50
take
or
out for
under on
that
my
money?
players. What we did, I bit up an Arenado that one year. I went nuts on Trout. Uh, and it's just too many, it's too many eggs in one basket.
But it
To
fits your
me, I feel like I
style
want
though,
to
right?
spread
I
it
mean,
out.
your style is stars and scrubs because you're like, I'm going to turn over that last, I don't know, 25% of my roster anyway, so it makes sense, right? I mean, if you're going to do that, if you're going to drop a guy after a few games, then you don't want to spend more than $1 on him, I mean, so
Yeah, so I'd like to have a few more. But that's a lot of money when you tie up like 120 bucks on a guy. It's a third of your money, you know. I guess I try to like really look at these guys coming off of a down year, and again like bet on the projections, bet on their 3 years average instead of how bad they were last year. You know, get them at a lower price, buy low on guys.
I don't know
Um,
if it's because of the shift rules. I'm guessing it is because of that. But this past year, I didn't look beyond 2 years, you know, so I didn't even look at 3 years ago. It was like, so I do like a best fit uh, analysis. So like, I weight the years according to what would have come out with this year's numbers. What would have been the best fit for it? And in this past year, I didn't even include anything beyond the past 2 years. I think it's because of the shift rules. I think they changed. I think they changed it so much. And then there's 2020. Who knows what to do with that? But I didn't even go back to 2021. It's weird. Some
like,
years, like I'll look at what happened 2 years ago more than the previous year, which in a weighted average doesn't make any sense, right? But I think we know sometimes there is that feeling like, right? Like you'll go after guys after a bad year if you still believe in them, and you'll kind of be excited to do that because they'll be undervalued, right?
right, or this guy was hurt, the guy was hurt. He was playing through stuff all year, and you just hope he's healthy again. Taylor Ward's a good example. He's got the skill, and he's still not, he's not aging out of his skill set yet. So what's the difference? Well, last year, he was hurt a lot, so he would be good again this year, hypothetically.
Yeah,
But I think these projections are all like way better than any of us can really do individually. It doesn't matter what model it is, if you're Steamer, ATC, aggregating things, or Bad X. I think they all do better than I would be able to do in terms of projecting the skills. Like when you look at the WOBA or like the slugging percentage. I think they do a really good job of that. I think they do a really bad job of playing time.
yeah,
Um, they're pretty bad at like adjusting that. So I just try to look at the skills part of their projections, like a WOBA or WRC plus, things like that. Um, and then or like slugging percentage or like on base percentage. And then I look at like where they're batting in the order and if they're playing every day. Because I you get too it's pretty arbitrary how they project playing time. It's not they don't spend that much time on it, I don't think. I
it's
think a
it's
lot of
a
this.
it's a nearly impossible task anyway. So what I've done is I use like the depth charts, and I use like what I adjust it. It's like my personal beer league stuff, which is basically just one number. I mean, I do have individual components that go into it, but I don't even care. I don't even know what those are. Like I just look at the one number, and I will. There'll be a certain component that I'll certain percentage that I do base that is those numbers based on the weighted years, and then another part, like it's like usually like a third of it, something like that, is just depth chart stuff. And I know that we talked about this at DC's. I don't even know if you remember, after the auction, and you were like, "Oh, I can't believe that you just think of all number three hitters that are third baseman the same, but that's what that does. It's not 100%, but it's so you know what I mean. So it's if a guy is well, first of all, I don't even look at platoon guys in the auction at least. I mean, theoretically, I want to go through a whole year without even. I want all starters in our league, but yeah, I do look at that. They're the number five hitter. Um, they're a second baseman. I don't know. It's all based on averages, based on this. So there's no subjectivity to it, which I like. But I understand there's also real gaps in there, right? There's exceptions that I'm not going to catch.
Sure, but I think, I mean, it just speaks to like opportunity and playing time, and like they just get more chances. They're higher up in the order and they're playing every day. And if they're on a better club, obviously, you know, a number three hitter for the Dodgers or for the Braves is going to get a lot more than whoever the White Sox are rolling out as a number three hitter right now.
Yeah,
But
no,
that usually already figures itself out because usually those good teams
that's yeah,
already have such good guys that it doesn't matter. They're not really they're already spoken for in our league.
yeah,
You
that's
know,
that's a big flaw in it. I do have a team rating, which kind of, besides ballpark factor, the team rating kind of, I guess most of it is just that there's a less of a runs and runs batted in environment on certain teams. So that's what hopefully that team factor would but it's all based on last year, the year going in, to this year, discounted because there's uncertainty from year to year. It's usually like I can only count on it like maybe a third of what it was last year, something like that anyway. But I'm not saying it's certainly flawed. I know that. So I'm not saying
no, but it served you well because it's like at the end of the day, those are the guys you want. And you'll see guys that like kind of get forgotten, like a Charlie Blackman. He's leading off and he's playing like every day.
yeah,
He's Charlie Blackman. He's leading off playing every day, and nobody wants him. Or, I mean, okay, so he's not a world beater, but like you can pick up like a Mark Canna off the wire, and he's probably going to be batting fourth or fifth for Detroit and playing just about every day. He's not platooning. Um, or who Steiger just picked him up. Um, the Jesse Winker is finally healthy again, and he's raking out for Washington. I
I
mean,
thought
you
he
see a
got
guy like Jesse
dropped
Winker steal
recently,
a
right?
base, you know he's feeling good. If Jesse Winker steals a base, he's healthy. Like
I
that's a
mean,
sign that Jesse Winker's feeling
it
good.
was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago that like Winker per plate appearance was phenomenal, and then
Oh, he was always a super OBP guy, like OBP like 120 more than his average, like crazy OBP guy, like the Greek god of walks level, you
Euclid.
know? Yeah, yeah,
But
definitely.
that's a challenge too, because I know that you, at least what you told me back then was you do look at per plate appearance stuff, and
Yeah,
actually it sounds ridiculous. I could never sell projections based, but because the beer league has a games max, I don't even look at plate appearances. I look at games, and of course that's going to be very flawed because it depends how the manager uses them. If he's brought in to pinch hit and hit one time, it still counts as a game. So I know that I miss out. I can miss out on. I can underestimate guys, but I think I'd rather underestimate guys than overestimate them. And but so I don't even look at per play. I look at games. I don't know.
yeah. So I did this thing in the preseason because I saw like all the free agent guys, like their plate appearances per game were like crazy off the chart. They were all like in the Acuna range. They're all like getting 4.7 plate appearances per game. And a leadoff hitter is going to get like 4.3, 4.4. Unless you're Acuna and you're on a great offense, then he could be in that range. But all the guys that were free agents at the time, were projected like super high. Like the guy that signed his first baseman from Milwaukee, or think about any of the guys, JD Martinez, anybody who wasn't signed, their plate appearances per game were super high. So I was on Twitter and I hit up Ariel Cohen, the ATC guy. I DM'd him and I DM'd the guy who does Bad X. Um, and was like, "Hey, what's up with this? Like, why is it this way?" And they both were like, "Well, the Bad X guy said I just do ATC's playing time projections now. I just do
But
whatever." So and I looked, I was like,
ATC just uses depth charts, Fangraphs depth charts, I think.
right. And so basically, they're all using the same playing time projections. And he said, Ariel Cohen said the model was for him was what matters is the plate appearances. He's like, the games is like, it's a throwaway number. So
Yeah,
I was using this
that's what
like
I
plate
use
appearances
though.
per game projected. I was using that and I was using it like it was gospel. Like, oh, this guy's so good because he projected for this many things. And, you know, I was like, he's going to get this many points per game, but if the games number is kind of a throwaway number for him and everybody's using his playing time projections, then you shouldn't use games as like a rejected stat. You got to
Yeah, see,
use. So that's why
I use games because I don't know how to. If you have a guy that's just coming off the bench and hitting against, right-handed pitching, and then he gets the starting job, you don't want to use those numbers that he had as a bench guy, always hitting against righties. When he gets
yeah,
a full time. So I couldn't resolve that. I couldn't easily anyway, because I want my projections to be. I want what I do to be as easy as possible because it's already too hard. Like I
mhm,
want to make it. So I'm not in the business. I'm not trying to sell my projections. All they have to do is I'm the only customer. So I just have to
mhm,
please the one
right.
customer. But that's why I don't do it, because I think you can get in trouble by projecting. It's kind of like in fantasy football. If you had a scat back, you don't want to project. Well, what would he do with 25 carries a game? Well, it doesn't work like that. So that's why I stick to games, and even though I know it's very inexact, but I think I would tend to, like I said, underestimate guys than overestimate them, and I'd rather underestimate them because I don't want to go in the auction and like take somebody for $20 and everybody's like, "What the fuck, man? That guy's not."
Remember you had that one year where your spreadsheet, some formula didn't get copied, right? And all your guys' numbers were off. Like midway, I don't know. This might have been like
Well, just this
2017 if I had to
just
guess a
this
year.
past year, well, it's usually not the values; it's the adjustments during the auction. That's what I had trouble with this year. It's usually not doesn't affect the well, occasionally it's affected my in-season adjustments, but that wouldn't be during the auction. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they usually end up being about the same. It's like a leadoff guy is just going to get, everybody. You just got to look around the league and like, I don't know, if you get like a leadoff guy and he's on the worst team in the league, he's still going to get a lot of chances, you know. And if he's good enough to keep the leadoff spot, those extra plate appearances are going to be great. So you have your own way of getting to the same spot, you know.
Yeah,
But I just thought it was
right.
interesting
It's
this
just
year
like
to
the
learn
hitters,
this.
like they start up here, and the other guys, and like when they show
Yeah,
point of contact, everybody's the same. So
they're all there at the end. It's like as long as you get to the spot, right? As Charlie Lau would, say, you got to get to that same sweet spot, but everybody gets to the same launch zone, 45 degrees off the shoulder at some point. Except for who was the guy that he played at the um okay, super long one. Willie Mays had a great catch at this park, 450 feet away from Polo Grounds. The old Polo Grounds had that like short bench or down the line, and Mel Ott got to the Hall of Fame pulling balls down the line. And Mel Ott had that super low, like he was down here and he was so quick on his swing. He didn't Mel Ott was the only guy I ever saw that never came back up. Mel Ott was just down here and he just stayed down there and he just wanted to get ahead of the ball and he wanted to
that
pull it
park,
right down the
that
foul
park
line,
wasn't symmetrical, but I think down the left field line it was like
Oh
200,
no.
250 something. I
Yeah.
don't think it
And
was.
then dead
It was
center had that little
ridiculous.
indent. So it went all the way to 450 at dead center because it had like
It
a
was like
little
460,
indentation
I
there.
think, out there. Like
Yeah.
because they had this little just this little like rectangle that would like try to, it's like
Yeah,
crazy.
right. There wasn't one of those at, when we were in Arizona. They didn't have that as one of the little league parks, right? They didn't do a Polo Grounds. They had the old Philadelphia Park. They had Yankee Stadium and Fenway and
Yeah, I wasn't
uh
down. I wasn't down there.
oh, that's right. Yeah, we went to a little league thing. And they had a bunch of like classic parks, but as
It was
like
like
little league
Wrigley and
fields.
Yankee. I don't know what else.
Yeah, yeah. It was like we went to the batting cages over there, like one night. But it was just cool to see the parks. But they didn't. I don't think they had the Polo Grounds. But I remember saying that like it'd be crazy to have the Polo Grounds because in a little league park it'd be like just over the third base baseman. You'd have a home run, you know. Yeah, because even that would be a short porch. Because
Well,
yeah, it was crazy
Bobby
down the line.
Thompson's homer probably wouldn't have gone out of other parks, right? Or it would have bounced off the wall in Boston. I mean, it wouldn't.
Well, there's still the pesky pole. You still got the
Yeah,
right
that's
down the
crazy
line,
too, right?
right?
That's like
And
300, and then it goes out like way out, like
yeah,
right
way out. You
away.
got to really get down like or Yankee Stadium. I mean, there's one guy that's really doing it down in Tampa Bay. He's the king of non-barrel home runs. Usually a home run's a barrel, like almost all the time. A barrel's a home run, a home run's a barrel. I mean, at least half of barrels are home runs. Like
Who's the Tampa Bay guy?
but the Tampa Bay guy, he pulled like 17 of them last year, like non-barreled home runs, like down the line. Oh man, I'll tell you the name in two shakes. Um, yeah, but it's just crazy to see it. I was looking at that, and then the guy that got screwed the most last year was Matt Chapman. He had so many barrels that weren't home runs, and he had said it's because he had a hand injury. He's like, I could never get quite the angle I wanted. So he just didn't pull anything. He didn't pull any fly balls. He got a ton of barrels, but none of them were pulled flies.
I've
It's
had
interesting.
discussions with Knockers about Chapman. He offered me Chapman in the off season, and then I said okay, because he wanted some fab with it, and it's like all right. At first I turned it down, and then I came back and said, you know what, all right. And then he said like, I've had an injury, so I don't want to do it. And I was like, fine. And then he came to me a week ago, maybe, and he said, like, hey, do you still want to be Chapman for Mike? It was for Michael Franco. Is that his name on KC?
Mikel Franco, yeah.
Yeah. And I said,
People are,
actually, now Franco's ahead of Chapman. I'm like, so I said no. And then I looked at it today, and I was like, oh,
yeah, but
Chapman's back ahead. So I texted Chris. I was like, you still want to do it? But he hasn't texted me back. So
he's
we
but
might do this
Franco's still
Chapman for Franco thing, and I'm sure it's going to turn around our seasons, whatever, however it turns out.
Franco's still leading off though.
Yeah, he's hitting the.
His underlying stuff still looks really good. I think it's like
I
small
like
sample
Chapman
size,
too,
but
though, right? He's like a guy that is
oh
probably
yeah,
better than his underlying stuff looks. So it's if the deal never happens, I don't care. But
yeah, no, I
I always err on the side of doing a deal as opposed to not doing it. Like if I have if I don't think I shouldn't do it, then I'll just do it. If
yeah.
you
No,
came,
that's a fun
went
one.
to all
That's
the
a nice
trouble.
challenge trade. Either one of those guys is going to change, like, is going to destroy the league and be the best player, you know. But it's like an interesting trade. Isaac Paredes is the guy in Tampa Bay.
Oh, Paredes, yeah.
Their third baseman. Yeah, he's got the knack of those pulled fly balls. Is the highest WOBA of any batted ball is a pulled fly ball. So if you get a guy that's pulling fly balls, that's what you want if any power hitter to do. Just pull the ball, hit it in the air,
So you
and
need
good
him
things happen.
to go back to 1950 and play for the Giants or something,
Yeah, he would have hit 45 at the Polo
right?
Grounds. I
And
mean, it makes sense, all right.
he would have gotten paid. He would have made like 40,000 a year.
I mean, think how hard it is to pull a ball too, though. Like in general, pulling the ball is hard. I mean, it was hard for me when I was batting. You got to get the bat ahead out there. You got to see the pitch that much ahead of time. You know, like slap it at the opposite field. You got a lot more time to wait on it and adjust. You got to really like have a fast bat
Even in
to pull the
softball,
ball.
slow pitch
Yep.
softball, pickup games. I'm not even talking, high level. I didn't realize how much of my lack of ability I was giving away when I said like, no, I really prefer the ball. I like to go to the right field. I'm a right-handed hitter. I like to go to the right field gap, and all that means is like even in slow pitch softball, I still wanted to wait for the pitch and like I didn't have the quick bat. I mean, hardly
I
ever.
wish somebody had told me when I was younger, always swing as hard as you can and throw as hard as you can. Like, um, and I wish they'd set the tee up. When they set the tee up, they should move the person back behind the plate so that you have to hit it way ahead of you, way out front. Because that's what the good hitters do. They hit the ball out way ahead of themselves. I was always trying to hit it right in front of me, right in the middle over the plate. You want to hit it before it even gets to the plate.
It's amazing. Like
Um,
something so basic would have helped me out so much, but it's so basic that I don't think anybody would ever have thought to say it to me. But like I never understood how like later on, like how Mo Vaughn could take a pitch that was like inside and hit a homer with it. Cause I would be like, I could like hit that ball like 40 feet. I don't understand how to, but they don't make contact with the ball here. They make contact
right.
with the ball way before it gets to the plate. And
Yeah,
I
that's why it's
never
harder
I
to pull the
never
ball when
understood
it's
that
on the
until like,
outside.
I don't know, like 10 or 15 years ago. And I was like, oh shit. I mean, it sounds so basic, but like I never thought of
No one said, no one ever told it to
that.
me either. I don't know. If I coach any girls softball or something when I get up to Minnesota, I'm definitely gonna be saying that. Hit the ball out here. Hit it out. Hit it way ahead of you.
Or it's like,
Uh,
basic pitching tips to like, to anybody, to young kids. It's like throw your hard stuff inside and your junk, slow stuff outside. I mean, that,
mhm.
inside they can't catch up to it, theoretically, and outside they'll be out in front of it. But I
Yeah,
wish I had realized that the reason that some people could hit because I hated inside pitches. I always wanted the ball away and to go to the opposite field. But you're not supposed to hit an inside pitch at the same spot as an outside pitch. Like I didn't
right.
understand that. I mean, it sounds stupid. I feel stupid that I didn't realize that until
I didn't either, man. So I was a line drive punch and Judy hitter.
that's
And it's
how
weird.
you can do it.
I still
That's how
remember
you
one
can
of the
hit an inside pitch. It's because you're not hitting it when it's crossing the plate. You're hitting way before then. Like, oh god, I
I
wish
think
I
the
had
farthest I
visualized
ever
that.
hit a ball in Little League was I got way ahead of a pitch and I hit it and it was foul, but I launched it way down the third baseline, foul, and it was like a Little League field that was up like above like a reservoir, but it just seemed like it because so there wasn't a horizon, like it fell off and it just seemed like the ball went forever. And you think I would have learned at that moment, like, oh, I like this feeling, I need to keep trying to do it. Nope, nope. I was like trying to hit like Ty Cobb and Honus Wagner, doing the split grip and hit it where they ain't. We Willie Keeler, it's too much of an aficionado of like old school small ball to learn to hit it far. I guess I needed an older brother to tell me the right stuff. I guess. Yeah,
Do you have an older brother or no?
I do. He does not play sports. He showed me a lot of cool comic books and a lot of great anime movies.
What do you got?
But
Do you have? What do you have as far as brothers and sisters?
and I got one older brother, and I got two younger sisters and two younger brothers. So
Wow,
my little brother Pete, who's 5 years younger than
sixty.
me, I gave him all the stuff. He was really good. He had knee injuries, but he did some amazing things on a ball field. That guy was quite an athlete. Um, yeah, but but also probably growing up and your main competition is somebody 5 years older than you probably gets you to be pretty good.
Yeah, it helps you. It helps you. Yeah.
you know, um, so yeah,
Like Gary Sheffield had Dwight Gooden pitching to him. He was his Dwight was his uncle, but he was only 4 years older. But imagine
oh really?
growing up having Dwight Gooden pitching to you.
Yeah, I guess you learned to have a quick bat then. Gary Sheffield was a player, man. I'd put him on my team anytime. That guy could hit. He could roll out of bed and hit.
Take a walk too.
Hey, have you heard anything about JD Martinez? Is he coming up for your Mets anytime soon?
Yeah, yeah. I thought he was going to come up by now. I think he might have had some slight like day to day injury. Oh, I think what do we got? Or we got Oh, we still have 10 minutes. Okay, we're good.
Oh
It's
boy,
giving
too
me
much for a 20-minute guy.
running out of time. 10 minutes. That's
This is it though, Lou. This is it. Episode three, part three,
part
what would
three.
that be?
That's it, right? No more
It wouldn't be
part
part
two.
two. It would be part Trey. I don't know. I don't know French.
Well, three parts would be like the equivalent of like almost 2 hours. So I mean, that's plenty. Jesus Christ.
Uh,
But Jeff was
Jeff's
right.
really right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really right. I mean, like I thought, oh, he doesn't understand what I've done. No, it wasn't even close. I couldn't even do it in two parts. So,
Yeah.
but I'm glad you came back for all the second and third part
All
anyway.
three. No. I used to dig in on a lot more of that stuff, man. And I honestly, when I started getting simpler with, that's when I had this last string of luck. In the beer league is when I got a lot simpler and started just looking at depth charts and WOBA. It's like stop overcomplicating this because I'd sit there and build spreadsheets for days and like trying to figure it all out like I did the first year when I won the league, and I basically just had a bunch of leadoff hitters is what I had that year, you know. And then it was like you're kind of wasting your time on this, it's people already doing the work for you, it's already out there. You just need to like know the player pool and see when guys get hot.
I guess for
I
me, it's like I wouldn't say that my projections are going to come closer than like Ariel Cohen's projections or something, but so it's like two things. I think one is like he who chops his own wood is twice warmed, whatever. So I think I enjoy doing my own projections because then I understand. Like if I'm wrong, that almost feels good too because like, hey, I fucked up. Like I don't want to be wrong because like I don't even understand why I was wrong. Like like this guy, he said he would do this, and I get more satisfaction if it's me that fucks up. And I guess the other thing about following depth charts is that the longer you do this, I think you realize like that at least me, I should just talk about myself. Like I can't really, I don't have any magic to discovering who's good and who's not. So I follow the depth charts because I just I don't believe in my ability to unearth uh, diamonds, in the rough, like so. I just want to maximize my chances that the guy will produce, and that's based on does he have a starting job? You know, in our league, I don't even want a platoon, like I said. But if he is a platoon player, he better be a lefty hitter.
Yeah, right.
In our league, if you have a righty platoon hitter, you got to drop him. Right? I mean, you can't have any.
Yeah, no, he's gonna get pinch hit appearances, but he's gonna average him like 2.5 plate appearances a game or something. It's gonna and with like 30 pinch hit appearances, like it doesn't. He might look like he's doing great, but he's not getting any actual production with one plate appearance, every 3 days. And then if they have a slew of lefties, sure. I mean, like I mentioned about the Cubs earlier this week, if they play whatever Garrett Cooper, it's Garrett Cooper, right? Not Gary Cooper. Garrett Cooper. He,
Tell me,
he
Doc, is it three
you
strikes?
know, well, he might have some good weeks. He's hitting the heck out of the ball, but he's only started like 2 or 3 games this year,
Right.
because
In
Bush was
a
on fire.
rotisserie league like I'm in, the other one, in El Roto, maybe, but in beer league, no. You don't want anybody. The worst player you want is a lefty hitting platoon guy, strong side platoon guy, and
I used to
and most likely you
stream
don't even
guys a
want
lot more,
that.
Lou, but I used to stream guys a lot more, but this year I'm not really doing it as much with the new like transaction limits and stuff. So I really made a point of trying to have more guys like that. In the past, I would have been looser, but in the auction this year, I really tried to be like, all right, I want guys every day, all the time, because I just didn't think I'd have enough transactions to be bringing two
I
guys in every
did
day.
I did look at like who's got the top transactions and what maybe they're on pace for. It's a Spear with 45 and you have 38. And according to my math, 38 would be on pace to have it 141 by June 5th. But that's a little bit overestimated because that's based on our auction being right before the season, like it usually is. And this year we had a big gap, between the auction and and obviously you're going to have more moves with an extra 2 or 2.5 weeks or whatever it was, 2 or 3 weeks, than you would in a normal year for us. So I don't know, but like your pace is safe, and probably Dave's with adjusting for the fact that the auction was so far before the season, he's probably on pace to be fine too. So, but it was
Yeah, I don't think we're going crazy
38
with our
is the
moves.
safe number.
Like in the past, I'd have a spot and I'd just be like, well, I got a platoon outfielder spot. But now I just have all like starting outfielders. But I tried to have a spot where just like there's always an outfielder you can put in there every day that's, a right-handed hitter against a lefty. And I just look for right-handed
Right.
hitters against lefties. This year, I'm just not doing that. I just don't know that I'll have enough transactions. So the past 3 years, that would have been an answer to your earlier question from part two. Um, but like I'm not doing that this year. I do always try to have a reliever in though. If my reliever's on, because I feel like a reliever is pretty valuable. They're very unlikely to hurt you if they're a decent setup guy. They might get a hold. They might, pitch 1 inning. If they're a really good setup guy, I try to have somebody in those reliever spots every day, even
Well,
more than
because
like
they average
even they're more than a
twice,
catcher.
they get twice as many points per inning as a starter. So
Yeah.
I
So
hope
I
that
really
everybody
try to have relievers in.
I hope that everybody understands that you want, if there was no innings max, you would want all relievers on your team, basically. I mean, like there wouldn't even be a starter that would be able to outpoint a closer. I mean, like I guess if we had 11 relievers per team, then you would start to get where you'd want a starter or two
So
in there.
Lou, why don't
Even
you have a spot then for like Mondays and Thursdays where you bring in like another reliever? I
because I
mean,
want to
I know
make
you don't
sure
pay for closers, but like one that you just pick up that day and drop
I
them.
want to make
Pick
sure I
up
get to the
this.
max at I'm going to get to the IP max. And then once I'm assured that I'm going to get there, and I use ATC's rest of season projections for that, then I'll switch. I'll drop a starter and I'll pick up a reliever, the highest leverage reliever I can find. And that's what I do until the end of the year. As long as it keeps making sense. To keep adding and dropping like that.
Yeah, you probably put yourself at a little bit of a disadvantage waiting to do that, though. You might be missing out on those 5 points that would have got you the 6-0 this week if you had an extra reliever in there on Monday and Thursday. But that might you might lose a bench bat. I know you want to keep all your starters, but you'd have to lose a bench bat. You got to leave somebody out somewhere, I guess. So you got to be willing to do it. But
I
you know what
don't
I mean
mind.
about that?
I don't mind the uncertainty of waiting because the bullpens change so much during the year. There's big stuff to take advantage of in the middle of the year that wasn't there in the beginning of the year. It wasn't evident yet anyway. So that's just I
Yeah,
do
but
have faith, I guess.
those wins are banked. The wins are done. It doesn't matter now. You can't make up like in a rotisserie league. You can't make up for your saves that you didn't get earlier in the year. The wins are gone. That scoring period's over. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there as a because you as an answer to your question, I guess.
No, I mean
It's-
hey I know that it's less than a minute. No, I'm certainly I never put it out there like my way is infallible or something like that. But anyways,
oh no.
we're definitely not coming back. So Phil,
All right,
thanks for
Lou.
coming back for 3 parts. And
Hey, guys, to whatever one brave psychotic soul makes it all the way to part three. Thanks, guys. You got the best material right here. Thanks, Lou. Appreciate you doing this, and
good luck.
by far the best commissioner out there. So we all
Good luck in
appreciate
your
you very
move to
much, sir.
Minneapolis. I want to get that out there before we get cut off. I don't know
Yep,
when we're getting cut off, so it's going to happen any second. So,
mini apples everywhere. Crab apples, crab apples.
all right, next week we got something else. I don't know, Jeff. Maybe Jeff will be back with his full account, and we won't have to worry